Today is a very special episode for me. This is a person who I've known from a very, very young age. Obviously, most of the listeners will recognize this man as an ex-international cricketer, Test cricketer, ODI cricketer, T20 cricketer for Pakistan, as well as probably one of the biggest stars of T20 cricket. All franchises, county cricket. I think he's played in pretty much every league around the world. It's my pleasure to welcome today Yasir Arafat. Assalamu alaikum, Yasir bhai.
Thank you very much, Qasim. Thank you very much.
Nice to have you with us. Looks like you have a lovely garden in the background there, lovely sunshine.
Yeah, it is a lovely garden. We just recently moved into our new house, and thankfully that we just moved right in time, just before the lockdown happened, and then we're enjoying the new house, especially the back garden, especially with the kids. Try to play cricket with my son in the back garden, and yeah, I know it's not an exciting thing, but still, I mean, you have something to to play or to do some activities outdoors.
No, absolutely. Your son must be loving having his dad as his legendary dad, his coach, his own private coach in the back garden.
Yeah, my son, he's 7 years old, and then surprisingly, he's into all sports. He loves swimming, karate, gymnastics. He loves run around, and especially being me a cricketer, being watching cricket all my, in the TV and playing cricket in the grounds. So he's into cricket as well. So he just started cricket, last year. He was in that All Stars 11. All the clubs in England,
yeah.
they have their, for the young kids, all Stars. So he's learning new things, and then I'm working on him, especially on his batting. So good. I hope he will be a good cricketer in the future.
No, I'm sure. So Yasir bhai, I want to take you back to right back early days of your career. You were born March 12th, 1982. In Rawalpindi, Punjab. You're now, mashallah, 38 years old, still looking fit. But what was it like being brought up in Rawalpindi? And what are your early memories of cricket in Rawalpindi?
My dad was, a big cricket fan, and he's like, into cricket big time. Although he does, different other jobs. Yeah. But cricket, when he was young. In his early days, he's into sports and especially into cricket. He used to watch the test matches when there was hardly shown cricket in Pakistan on TV. So he still managed to get to watch the test matches back home, and whenever he got chance to listen to the commentary on the radio as well. Maybe on the articles, the magazine, he loves follow Pakistani cricketers. So he one of his dream was to play cricket by himself for the country, but unfortunately he with the lack of chances, you could say the infrastructure was not as good as nowadays. You got like academies and different coaches around you, but at that time it was very difficult. But when he was growing up, he just played cricket here and there in the streets, on the grounds, or wherever he gets chance. Mm-hmm. But his dream was to one of his son, like to become a international cricketer, especially to play for Pakistan. Mm-hmm. So he did a lot of he spent a lot of time on me, like he took me to the for karate. He asked me to do yoga trainings, to get fit, to get flexible.
So
although
further, this is something I find very interesting with you, Yasir bhai.
Sorry,
something I find very interesting with you from a young age, that you did yoga. For a Pakistani coming through, you wouldn't think. So this came from your father. Your father introduced you to yoga.
I think I must give credit to my dad on this, because I played professional cricket for more than 20 years, and the reason behind that was the thing that I did, like, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, like a lot of running, not gym training, but yoga training, and then I did karate for my fitness. And that training, I think, helped me a lot for my, professional career, and then helped me, playing a longer period of time. Uh, I think that's pretty much, when I was young, and play after school, whenever I came back from the school, I still go to the club and, did a lot of bowling, like 4 or 5 hours, under the temperature of, 45, 46, 7 degrees. Back home in Pakistan, it's pretty hot in summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my early days was quite tough, but it helped me to, play longer period of time.
Yeah. No, that takes me forward. Then you obviously represented Pakistan from the age of under 15s. I believe you played in the under 15 World Cup. Yes.
Yes.
And then you obviously at a very young age.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when I was young, and then there was the open trials back home in Pakistan, and then my dad wants me to go to that open trial and do the trials, and do the testing, how good you are. So I went to the trials. I mean, I got picked for for Rawalpindi first, and then Punjab side, and then there were players from all over the country. We gathered there in the Qazafi Stadium in Lahore. We did the trial, got selected, and that was my first overseas tour. My representation to the for Pakistan. It was a great experience for me, especially playing abroad against a good side, and we had a very good side at that time. Shoaib Malik, Kamran Akmal, Tawfiq Umar, Bazid Khan, and Hassan Raza. Who played for the Pakistan? I mean, in the past, in the future, they represented Pakistan, and I was one of them.
Yeah. No, I was. I remember seeing a picture of that team. It was obviously star-studded with many, as you mentioned, many people that went on to play for Pakistan. And that then takes us forward a couple of years after that, at the age of 17 years old. This is where my first memory of you was, because we had just signed you as our overseas professional for the Clydesdale team, and you made your ODI debut in 2000 versus Sri Lanka in Karachi. You also got your first wicket in that match as well. That was my first memory of watching you. That was my first memory of watching you on TV. That must have been a very special day for you and for your whole family.
Yeah, I made my debut when I was very young, like 17, 18 years of age, and I just came back from the under 19 World Cup in Sri Lanka. I did very well, got picked for Pakistan side, and at that time there was so many big names in Pakistan team. Saeed Anwar was the captain, then Wasim Akram, Abdur Razak, and the Saklan Mushtaq, Moin Khan, Muhammad Yusuf. These were the big names at that time, and I was lucky enough to play along with those big names. And I made my debut in 2000, and then Yunus Khan, he made his debut in the same game. So obviously it was a great feeling for me, for my family, especially my dad. He was very very happy when he saw me playing for Pakistan on the TV.
Yeah. Now, before I go any further, I classify your career, Yasir bhai, if I'm being honest, as very successful, but in a little way disappointing as well. You probably understand what I mean, because on one hand, you're probably the most successful franchise, county, one of the top players around the world. You've been playing for over 20 years professionally. Not many people do that. In county and all that kind of setup in the franchises. Whereas for Pakistan, it always seemed like you were in, then you were out. Then you were in, then you were out. And it never seemed to be that you played for any long period of time. I mean, you played for Pakistan in that game, 2000. You then never played again for a good couple of years after, till later on, 5 years later, you never played again. Why do you think that was the case?
I mean, it's not just me. I mean, most of the characters back home in Pakistan, I mean, if you ask their stories are quite similar to me. But on the other hand, if I say that, I'll be more successful, especially in the, England setup, where the merit always prevails, whereas in Pakistan, no matter what performance you gave in the domestic cricket, I mean, it's a thing. But it's normally what people call,
The fact,
it's not about what you know, it's about who do you know.
yeah, it's who you know. No, I once played a first-class game in Pakistan for Pakistan Customs, and on the morning of the match, somebody came into the changing room because they knew the boy that was playing, and he was removed from the team, and they were told that this boy has to play. And I had never seen anything like that. You must have seen a lot of that in your career coming through in Pakistan.
Yeah, there is a lot of stories like that. You got picked for the side, and the selectors congratulate you. They give you a call, and then they said, you got selected. You go touring the tour. All of a sudden, the next day you said, by from the media, from the TV, or somebody told you that, oh, you're not on the tour now. So these things do happen. You got visa, you got selected congratulate you. But even then, you're not sure unless until you're on the plane. You're
Yeah,
not sure whether you're going onto the tour or not.
that's. Do you think this can ever change, Yasir? You think this can ever because that's not healthy. I don't think.
Yeah, only thing we can do is like we can hope and we can pray for that that whatever happened to us or the cricket in the past, that's gone. But what you can do is you can plan for the future. You can try to do different things by experimenting.
Yeah.
So I can just hope for the best for the Pakistan, because so many cricketers ruined their cricket. They even though they were good cricketers, but because of that nepotism, and then the selection criteria back home is they left the cricket, and then they're doing some other businesses or other works.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of talent that goes wasted in Pakistan. It's a real shame. So moving forward, Yasir, by 2001, very exciting year for me. I was like a kid in a sweetie store because obviously I knew that the Pakistani all-rounder Yasir Arafat was just signed for Clydesdale. I'll never forget it. You got picked up at the airport, and Colin Mitchell was the captain then. And Colin Mitchell had said that he's going to take you to the ground because you were going to play on the Saturday. So he was going to take you to the ground for training. And I said, I want to know what time he arrives at the ground so I can be there for that training session. Do you remember that, the first day when you arrived in Clydesdale?
I still remember that my cricketing time in Scotland, especially the first day you're talking about. I still remember that I got picked by Rennie and Colin from the airport, and then they took me to the flat straight away, and then they said that why don't you just have a shower, have a rest, and then few of the kids few of the players are practicing in the club. So why don't you come and join and say hi to them and just introduce yourself? I said, why not? I love to go in there. And then the thing I remember was I was just went to the dressing room, and then I saw from the window that there was two guys. It was you, or there was another Asian guy who was bowling. I think lean and thin guy. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
You guys were practicing. You guys were practicing, and then there was another guy, Burgess. I think Burgess, tall guy. He was there, and then I went into the ground and say hi to you guys, and then you asked me a few questions, and then we had a good chat, and I still remember that time.
Yeah, no, I think from that moment on I was like glued to you, because all I wanted to do was play cricket with you as much as possible. I was probably an irritation. You probably wanted to rest sometimes, and I was saying, no, Yasir, come on, we'll go to the ground. We'll go to the ground. I would never remember then the first game I think we played was against Pollock, a home match.
Okay.
We batted first. I think you got a good score in your first game, 60, 70 maybe you got. And then we went out to bowl. And I'll never forget, I was fielding at square leg, and you bowled the first couple of balls, and the ball was flying. We hadn't seen pace like that in Scotland for a long time. And I remember everybody in the team, Rennie, Greg, Colin Mitchell, everybody's smiling. We've got a good pro here. We've got a proper fast bowler. You had some great.
There's another story I want to mention here, because when I was arriving, on the airport, and then when Colin and Rennie was waiting for me, on the arrivals, and he told me that story. Colin later told me that story, like after 4 or 5 years ago. Then later, that he said that when we saw you, when I was coming out from the check-in and everything, took my luggage and I was coming. At that time I was quite skinny and short and very young. So Colin, I think, said to Rennie that do we make a good right decision bringing him into our team, because he looks so young and I don't know, he can ball like even 70 miles an hour.
You were very young, Yasir bhai. You were like I mean, I was still a little. I was obviously even younger than you, but you were for a pro coming over. It was a very you normally go for a pro who's maybe mid-20s, little bit more experience. But you took no time in getting into finding your stride. You had some amazing seasons for us at Clydesdale. We went on to win 2 national titles in a row, Premier League titles, and you were just, people just knew. They called them, Yasir bhai is going to bolt you. If you bounce somebody, you might kill them, and if you york them, you might break their toes. So people were scared. I still speak to people now, and they say it was amazing when we played against Clydesdale. We were scared, but it was such an amazing experience to face Yasir Arafat. We obviously had a good partnership as well. I used to bat number 3, you used to bat number 4. We had many a good partnership as well. You think your batting improved in Scotland because you had a lot more responsibility on your shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, talking about Clydesdale, Clydesdale has a great history of having Pakistani pros in the past. There was a fast bowler in the, I think, mid-80s, Afzal Butt. He played like 4 or 5 years. He was good pro for Clydesdale. And then Amir Hanif played for, if you remember, Amir Hanif played for 5 or 6 years. You guys had had a good years at that time. Once I arrived, like in 2001, I think, you were like, one of the younger kids, from Scotland and from Clydesdale, so who was going into the ranks of the Scotland cricket. So we had a very good combination of seniors like Colin, Greg, and Rennie. These are the senior players of the team, and then Harmanjeet Singh came in the after I think 2 years, I think, and there are other few young cricketers in the team. So, we had
Ross Lyons as well.
Ross Lyon as well, and then
so we had you had a nice mix of youth and senior players.
Youth and senior players, yeah. So the first 2 years was went terribly bad because of the weather condition. I mean, the first year was we hardly played any cricket, and then I had to go back to Pakistan for the A tours to Sri Lanka, and so I missed few of the games, and then I came back and joined the team again, and we missed like half of the season because of the rain, because of the weather condition. But as soon as we went into the year 2003, that was excellent season. And then in terms of the weather was perfect, the pitches was good, and I mean we won in Division 2 in that Division 1, but
Division 1, we won Division.
We won that Division 1. Had some good experiences, and the partnerships and the bowling. The junior was going into the getting into the form. And then 2004 we won the Premier champion. Then 2005 back again, champion again, and then we won like I think 50-over competition, one-day competition. We won that as well once in Grange, I think.
My biggest memory, two big memories in particular. I think there's some pictures still flying around of them. There was one in particular when you bowled Matthew Horn, New Zealand Test player, down at air. You bowled him straight to Yorker. Stumps went everywhere. Everybody's rising. We're all celebrating. But the best ball I ever seen you bowl in Scotland, hands down, reminds me of Shoaib Akhtar's ball to Stephen Fleming in the '99 World Cup. Is when you bowled Floyd Reefer, first ball at Uddingston, round the wicket, leg stump Yorker. That was that was unbelievable. He hadn't even got his bat down yet, and the stumps had gone. Do you remember that ball?
Yeah, I mean, we had a very good rivalry between there is a one team Polak, which is a very good India-Pakistan rivalry back and then and with Greenock. We always have a very tough game with them, and there were a lot of fighting in the ground and out of the field and on the field. So we were very pumped up for that game because we were going, I think, away. That was an away game, and then
I think me and you actually got 50s that day. We chased I think 220, 230, and me and you got 50s. We were both not out. We were 2 down was a good victory because Greenock had Craig Wright, Ian Stanger. They had a good pro.
Tony Jed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it was great times. You know,
I think Colin was as a captain. He was very clever. He always, just before the important game, he always, pumped me up and told me that this game is very important. And you got to, step up for this game, and and for this especially game, he was, he told me that that is very important game for us. And the Floyd, I mean, that guy, he was very crucial for player. So if you can get him out, so we can easily win that game. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the only other memory I had with you, Yasir, we still joke about it now. We played Dunfermline. Now, we played in
Ramzan by team?
Yeah.
No. That's the other team.
That's the other team. That was they had all the Pakistanis playing for them. And we played.
Waqas. Yeah.
That's right, Waqas Ahmed. Waqas Ahmed never said anything to you. He was obviously respectful.
Yeah,
it was the other guys. But we played a game against them away. And I think a few of them wound you up quite a bit. Said some things that they shouldn't have maybe said.
Especially from behind the stumps, wicket-keeper guy.
Mr. Shakur Saab, I remember, he was getting very personal. And I'll never forget, they came to play the game at Clydesdale. Now, normally in the morning of the match, Colin, I used to remember, would come over to you and say, Yasir, what do you think we should do today? I think wicket's quite good. You should have a bat. That day, he didn't even get to ask the question, and you said we were bowling first. And I remember I was fielding short leg. And I think that's the fastest you ever bowled in Scotland. You were not aiming for the stumps that day. You were aiming from, I think,
body line bowling.
Yeah, body line. But my goodness, you bowled. Do you remember that day? You bowled very fast, very aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, the game you were talking about before, the Saturday game, league game at their place. We went out there, and then I don't know. All of a sudden, those guys, maybe that was a tactic from them that we can disturb him or change his mind, get him out by, saying some words or something like that. I mean, even though it came up to we were failing in the ground, even though the umpire came to us and they said, oh, you can't do that or something like that. But the game was, in a bad position, bad shape.
Yeah.
So I gather myself, motivated myself, what I need to do is, I don't get out from them. I make sure I think I got 100 in that game, and and we won that game. And after that, and we had a big chat during the game even, and I still remember about the game you're talking about. When they came to our place, I had that in mind that I'm gonna bowl whatever I can in my body. So I push myself very hard.
I was fielding a short leg, and the ball was flying. You must have been bowling, I think, near 90. Must have been close to 90 miles per hour that day. And for Scottish cricket, that was unbelievable pace. Obviously, this meant you got noticed. People started noticing you, Yasir, and all the setup. And around a few years into your time in Scotland, Rahul Dravid had gone back to represent. I think he must have been on Indian cricket duty, and you got brought in to be one of the other overseas players for the Scotland Saltires. That was your first experience of coming into professional cricket in the UK. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the early days there.
Yeah, 2003, I think Scotland Saltires contract. Approached Rahul Dravid, to play a few games, because at that time Scotland played that Tour Sport 45 over in the county cricket. So they had Rahul Dravid for first year. He played like 8-9 games, and he did very well. I think 200 to 300. He got 200-300, and that is quite fruitful especially for the the young Scotland batsmen. Mm-hmm. And I remember that we had a benefit game at our place, like Clydesdale. Rahul Dravid came and we played that game, and that was my first interaction with Rahul Dravid, and he came across very nice chap. And then we learned a lot while he was by watching him batting. So, and that's the following year, although as you mentioned that I was doing well in Scotland cricket. People was knowing me, and then Scotland cricket knows me. So next year, I think they said that we need a fast bowler. So why don't we sign Yasir Arafat, because he's already playing here. He knows the conditions well. He's an international cricketer. So they approached me, and then That's how I got into Scotland side, and then I played 2 years. In the following year, I played for them in 2005 as well, and then four. So we played some few games, although we didn't manage to win most of the game, but still 1 or 2 games or 3 games that we won, and then we lost few very close games. But at the same time, the development of the players of the Scotland players was there.
Yeah, no, it was no. I got to play a couple of games with you. I played against Yorkshire. I remember a nice sunny day. You bowled Craig White, who ex-Test.
At Headingley. At Headingley?
Oh no, it was the one at Grange. I played in the one at Grange.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you bowled Craig White, who is the next Test cricketer for England. You bowled him the first over. Unfortunately, they had that day Phil Jakes, Australian left-hander, and he played quite well. And they chased it against us. But again, you were bowling quick. You were in your kind of. I think then, Yasir bhai, you were still finding your real skills, but you were raw pace. I mean, you were fast, but I don't think you had really found yet the best way to bowl and on that level of cricket. But it was early stages of showing that this guy is, he's a serious talent. And then obviously after playing for the Saltires for a couple of years, Mushi Bhai down at Sussex, Mushtaq Ahmed, leg spinning legend for Pakistani cricket. I think Rana Naveed had got injured or he was going back. And Mushi Bhai had said we should sign Yasir Arafat. And that was like the next stage of your career, took the next launch. So you went to Sussex in 2006. But just before I get to that, 2005, you went back into the Pakistan team. You played in a series against England. Now that series I will always remember for one big moment, and that was the Yorker to Flintoff. You bowled him with a Yorker. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, in 2005, when England had very good summer here, they won the Ashes, and there were very big names in England side like Kevin Peterson, Ian Bell, and all these Trescott, Michael Vaughan. So they toured to Pakistan in the winter, and then they played a practice game in Rawalpindi, which I played against them, and I got 9 wickets, 5 and 4, 5 in the first inning, 4 in the second inning, and out of 9 wickets, I got 7 bowled. So in that I got Matt Pryor out twice, bowled. I got Peterson out, in swing delivery, and then other guys, Collingwood was there as well. Collingwood. So I had a very good experience that, and then because of that performance, I got picked for the national side. Although I didn't play the first 4 games because that was a 5 1-day series. Yeah. I managed to play that fourth one in third or fourth one in Karachi. The first 2 was in Lahore, and then I managed to play the Karachi 1 day. Yeah. I bowled on only 7 overs, and I managed to get, when I started my bowling in that game, Flintoff was, he was hitting ball everywhere, even though he hit me 2, 3, 4 boundaries as well. But I was, pumped up, so I said, no matter what happened, I need to bowl fast because there's a very flat track. Pakistan scored 340 on that track, The ball was flying, when they were batting. So I said, no, I'm going to bowl fast on that track. So although I was bowling 88, 89 or 90 miles an hour.
The one that you bowled with, I think it was a 90 miles per hour, came up with the
90 miles, yeah. So I still remember that because, Shoaib Akhtar was, fielding on mid-on, and then he was saying, even you were getting, hit for 4 and boundary, doesn't matter, but you may make sure you need to bowl fast. So what I was doing there, and then luckily I got him out, and then when the next batsman was Collingwood, when he came in, so he hit the ball into the first slip. The catch was dropped, so I ended up only taking 1 wicket in that game.
Taking the 1 wicket, but again, you showed what you were capable of at that level. Yorker to Flintoff. You then you got retained for the series to go to India, and that's when you kind of made your mark in Test cricket. Unfortunately, again, disappointed to say it wasn't enough to then build a Test career, but you played in a Test match, 8th of December 2007, Test debut, India, Bangalore, 7 wickets, including a 5-wicket haul. and you also scored 44 in the first innings. But your 5-wicket haul was not just a 5-wicket haul. You bowled out. You got the legends of the game. You know, Sachin Tendulkar, Dravid, Sehwag, Lakshman. Talk to me about that experience, Yasir bhai. That's, you know, you can tell your grandchildren and they can tell their grandchildren for years to come about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you compare my career, you know, I made my debut in 2000, and then with Yunus Khan, that was his, and then when I made my Test debut, that came after like 7 years, like 2000 to 2007, and then the guy who made his debut with me was the captain of that game, which I played like Test match. Yunus Khan was the captain in that game when I made my debut.
There's a big difference in career that he obviously got a bit more. He got a bit more opportunity. He got the opportunities to play more cricket.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, you know, that was again is like a replacement call up for me, because I was not in the actual squad. The team was already playing in India. They played their first game in Delhi. All of a sudden, you know, their main bowlers, like 3 bowlers or 2 to 3 bowlers, and 1 batsman got injured or some injuries. There was so many injuries in the team. So what happened, like I was in Rawalpindi, and then I got a phone call from the PCB that you need to go to India and to play the Test match, which is starting tomorrow. You can imagine, I am receiving a call today, and then they said you got to go to India and playing a match in India. You know, that was like, you know, preparation for me, and for, you know, that was the plan for PCB, of the plan of the PCB.
Yeah.
So what happened, like I took a flight, and I went to India, and then I joined the team. But you know, the normally in Asia, you know, the Test match starts at 9 o'clock, 9 in the morning. It's quite early. Luckily, I ending up reaching the ground around 9:30. So when I went to the ground and the match was already started, so I took a sigh, like, you know, thanks God, I am a bit late, because I was mentally and physically, like, you know, I was not prepared for the Test match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what the blessing in disguise, you know, it gave me, you know, at least, you know, 7-8 days to prepare myself physically and mentally. You know, if I get because there was one more game left after that Kolkata test, so which was in Bangalore. So I said, yeah, I should get ready, prepare for myself. If I get a chance for the next game, I should be ready. So that exactly happened. I trained myself. You know, I did a lot of bowling, you know, training. So when we went to Bangalore, Yunus Khan, you know, the captain, he was a captain. He told me that, yeah, Yasir, you're playing this game, and then be ready, and make sure you ready enough to bowl a lot of over, because Bangalore pitch is always flat, and you have to, you know, it's very hard for the, you know, for the fast bowlers. It has a history of, you know, for spinners or for the batsmen, you know. Anything for the batter or the bowlers, spinners, not for the fast bowlers. So I said, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm ready for it, right? So the game started, you know, as usual, and then we were bowling. And there was like, you know, I think Muhammad Sami got first wicket quite early, like 3-4 in the 3rd or 4th over, and Shoaib Akhtar was bowling from the other end, and Muhammad Sami from the other end. So I came in the first change, and you know, and then I got my first wicket, which was obviously Rahul Dravid. In the slips, Misbah caught that, you know, the ball, and then in the 2nd over. And then, you know, they were like 60 for 3. I took like 3 wickets. Then I got Lakshman out. Then was Steve Jaffer out. So I took 3 wickets, and they were 60 for 4. They were struggling, you know. So all of a sudden, you know, what happened was Shoaib Akhtar got injured. You know, he got a slight niggle, I think, in his hamstring. So he stopped bowling. He didn't bowl for that day, I think. And then it was me, Danish Kanaria, and Muhammad Sami, 3 of us on that flat track. Saurav Ganguly was batting, and then Yuvraj, as everybody knows how good they are. So I mean, they had a partnership of like 300 or 400, whatever. God knows. One guy got 270 or 280, and the other guy got, you know, 170. So I mean, then the next morning, you know, we had to come back again and to bowl again, because they already lost like 4 or 5 wickets. Even Yusuf Pathan, I think Irfan Pathan got 100 in that inning as well, in that game. Yeah. So what happened was, sorry, go on.
How was your body feeling overnight? You must have been exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, I bowled in the first day. I bowled like 22, 23 over in first day of my, test match, right?
Yeah.
And then when I went back to the hotel, what happened was like, the amount of ball I delivered on that day, I mean, my finger of the, foot fingers, they were all bleeding. So what I had to do is like, I can't wear my shoes. So, I have to wear flip flops, so at least I can walk and, don't feel the pain. The next morning when I came back, so what I had to do, like, get the plasters and the bandages, ask my physio to, I want to do, tape my fingers because I'm feeling, so sore, so I can't bowl like that.
Yeah.
So I take painkillers and tablets, and then the next day, I took 2 more wickets, and then ending up 5 wickets again.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I bet you slept well after that test match. I bet every night you were getting a good night's sleep, because I'd imagine the heat must have been unbelievable as well. Over the conditions must have been very warm. But obviously, Yasir, a very proud, very, very proud moment for you and for your family. Unfortunately, again, it didn't lead to a long test career. You might be thankful now, because maybe you got to play longer cricket because of not playing so much. Because if they kept bowling you 20 overs in a day, you might have been finished by the time you were 30. Also in 2007, I played again. Well, we played in the same competition, T20 World Cup in South Africa. That was obviously a very proud moment for myself as well. I went with Scotland, to myself and Ross Lyons. There's actually a picture I've got. I'll send it to you after this. I don't know if you've seen it for a while. We're at the ICC Awards ceremony.
Opening ceremony or something like that. Yeah.
It was the opening ceremony and the award ceremony.
Indoors. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Indoor. Harsha Bogle was presenting. You're in the middle with your Pakistan blazer. Me and Ross were in our Scotland blazers. It's a very proud picture. We were obviously in the same group. Unfortunately, I didn't play against Pakistan, but you played in that match. So you played against like Majid Haq, Craig Wright, a lot of guys that you'd played with. We had you guys in a bit of trouble at one point. We had you, we had you a little bit in trouble, and you played. I think you got some runs at the end. Yunus Khan got 40, Shahid Afridi got a couple, and you ended up getting about 170. We ended up coming out and batting quite well. Fraser Watts got us off to quite a quick start. He got us good 40 quite quickly, and then unfortunately for Scotland, you guys started taking some wickets. What's your memory of that game? Do you remember it well?
Yeah, I still remember that game. And then you mentioned that we were struggling when we were batting. We lost a few wickets, and then Yunus Khan and Misbah, I think, scored a few runs, and then I got like 20, 25 in the end, and we managed to get like a reasonable target for you guys.
Yeah.
And then when you guys, Scotland was batting, and then they had a good start, especially as as I know, Scotland always good on the seam on the seamers, right, early on.
Yeah.
But what did good for us, like we had a excellent two spinners, like Saeed Ajmal
and Shahid Afridi.
Shahid Afridi, yeah. Two good spinners, then along with like Muhammad Hafiz ball a bit, and then Shoaib Malik can ball a bit, right? So I think that the problem came when in the middle, when the spinners was bowling, and you guys struggle to cope with that the spinners, and then you lose wickets in intervals, and then you lost the game.
Yeah. Still, it was a great experience. I actually done a podcast with Salman Butt, who was on that tour as well. And we talked about the fact that there was very nice restaurants, Nelson Mandela Square. I used to see you. You always used to be out with Muhammad Hafiz and Kamran Akmal. I used to see you in the Mandela Square. Lovely place to tour. Very nice place to have nice food there.
Yeah. It was like the hotel or that area called Sandenton Place or something like city.
Sandenton. Lovely place.
Yeah.
Obviously, that World Cup proved to be a good World Cup, but as usual happens at the World Cup, Pakistan always lose to India. World Cup final, we were winning the match. We were home and dry. You played a very good innings, Yasir. You came in towards the end. You, yourself, and Sohail Tanveer, both of you played very, very well. The game was pretty much won. Misbah hit a couple of straight sixes, and then for some reason he decided to try to play the lap. And we lost the game. How did you feel in those moments in the World Cup final?
I know that the final was very exciting, but the game before the, during the that when we were, when we pool game in Durban, if you remember that after Scotland, I think we had to play against India, and
Yeah.
that was a very tight and exciting game, because that game was tied, and then we had to ball out. That was never happened that before or
That's right.
after after that
That's right.
thing.
That's right.
So I mean, we managed to India managed to hit all the three balls, and we missed all. It was Shahid Afridi, myself, and Umar Gul. I think
Yes, I
we
remember.
all missed.
I remember.
People are still tweeting that that video, and I mean, make us embarrassed. How
No,
did you miss those?
the thing is, we never practiced for things like that. You never would have thought you were going to be in a bowl out, and you're right, it's never happened again. So it was also the World Cup. The Yuvraj Singh hit Stuart Broad for 6 sixes and 1 over, which was,
Yeah.
it was a really exciting World Cup. Unfortunately, we lost in the final, but you had a very good campaign. You performed very well for Pakistan. Were you happy with your performance?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing T20 like when back home in Pakistan, and playing county cricket at that time. I was at, if I'm not wrong, I was at Kent, and we won that T20 in Kent, the T20 competition, like the T20 Blast at that time. So I'm having a good time especially in T20 cricket. So, and because of that performances, Pakistan team, Pakistan PCB picked me for that tour, and I did very well in that tournament as well. And then talking about the last, the finals against India, I mean, we had a mixed game till the end, like Then Misbah had a very good knock, and then he hit, as you mentioned, two sixes in the last over, and then at that time when we needed, I think, 1 run of 4 balls or 3 balls, and it was like the game was in our hands completely. But I don't know what came in Misbah's mind that he went for that lap shot. I mean, before 2 sixes hit, like that was straight, like that was biggest sixes of the tournament, one of the biggest sixes, right? So I don't know what came into his mind, and he tried for that left shot, and the bowler, he bowled a slow one, and then the
What was the atmosphere like in the changing room afterwards?
I mean, you can't believe. I mean, most of the guys were, they were crying, and because the game was almost in our hand, and we did so well in the whole competition, and we were through and through that we're gonna win this competition, especially the final. But that was you can't do anything. Sometimes you can't do. Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't rewind. You can't rewind time, unfortunately. But still, great campaign. It was an amazing experience. Coming back now, I kind of touched on it, and then I got excited by your international career. But I want to now go back to 2006. You signed for Sussex. You had a very good, successful first season. You won the county championship, and you won the C&G Trophy. That was your first experience. The good thing is you'd had a bit of experience with Scotland, playing against the counties. But you must have enjoyed going into the Sussex team, which probably was a stronger side than you'd come from with Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing 2006, I was still playing for Clydesdale Cricket Club, and then Mushtaq Mohammad, he contacted me that Rana Naveed was their second overseas, and Pakistan team was touring to England at that time, 2006. So they need a replacement player. So Mushtaq Ahmed saw me playing for Pakistan and playing domestic cricket. I mean, that he knows that I can bowl longer spells and then reverse the ball, because I was a right kind of a replacement for Rana Naveed. So he called me when he was playing a game in Durham, and then he said, "Why don't you come to Sussex?" And then the coach want to see you, before they sign you, or having you on board. So I said, well, why not? I can come, and I can give do some bowling before the match or whatever, the session. So I went there. I just bowled like 3-4 balls, and then all of a sudden the coach said to Mushi that that's enough.
Where's the pen and the paper?
Yeah, no. The thing was, thing happened like I thought, I think they don't like me, or they don't like my bowling, or something wrong with my pace, or anything like that. I was upset, and asked Mushi that what happened. He said, no, don't worry. You just go back to Scotland, go back to Clydesdale, pack your stuff, and come and join us. And then just tell them that your club cricket career is over now, and you can come and join us.
Yeah. No, that was the start of obviously a special time for you. You went on in 2007. You played for Kent. You had successful, as you said, you won the T20. You then went back to Sussex, 2009, 2010. 2011, you signed for Surrey. 2012, you played for Lancashire in the French Provident. And then 2013, 2014, by now, people had realised that you're a special bowler. In particular, you were known for your Yorkers. You know, Yasir Bhai, you can bowl at the death, you can stop teams from being able to score easily at the end, and you can take wickets. So you then went in to play for the Perth Scorchers in the Big Bash in Australia. I mean, that's totally new conditions for you. You'd obviously played for many years in England. Now you're going into Australian conditions, which are more known for being bouncy wickets. How did you find that transition?
I think 2013 when I was playing for Somerset, and I think that kind of helped me because I did really well for Somerset at that time. And my bowling partner was Alfonso Thomas.
Yeah.
If you remember, the place for Somerset. And then he had a very good year at Scorchers in 2013, I think, in the Big Bash. So what happened actually was, he was playing already there, and they need a bowler who can bowl reverse and they bowl Yorker in the end. So what happened was, like, and Justin Langer was their head coach, and I played against. Obviously, I played against him when he was playing for Somerset.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped me, and then they approached me to play for Perth Scorchers for their season. So I was happy, because never played there, never been there, for T20. So I said, yeah, why not? So I went there. I had a very good, very good start with Scorchers. I got man of the match in the first game against Melbourne Stars, and I took 3 wickets, Melbourne Renegades, I think, and I took 3 wickets. And the combination of the team, Brad Hogg was there, Adam Wojcicki, Simon Katich, and there are a few other guys.
I think you had Michael Carberry opening the batting.
The following year we had Michael Carberry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very good experience, especially playing and in terms of learning more skills under the coach was Justin Langer. So everybody knows him, how good he is as a player and as a coach. So I learned a lot of things from him.
And then you went on to win the competition. Was it second season?
Yeah, no. We won both year, 2013, 14, and 14, 15. Twice. Yeah.
I mean, that's where you really announce yourself in Australia as well. They know you now in Australia far and wide. They know you in England far and wide. You're worldwide known. You're probably one of the most successful franchise cricketers. There's also a story that is quite sad, unfortunate, that I wanted to touch on with you, and that was there was rumours that you were signed to play in the IPL before Pakistani cricketers were banned. Is that true?
Yeah, 2008, I was playing for Kent at that time. So somebody from Kolkata Knight Riders came to me in one of the games in Kent. Mm-hmm. So he said, yeah, I'm from Kolkata Knight Riders, and I'm their scouting guy, and what I want you to do, just we want you to play for our team. I said, yeah, I'm happy to do that. Yeah. So he went back to India, and then he sent my contract, and for 3 years, which was like 2009, 10, 11. Yeah. But because of the the Mumbai blast, that never happened, and then after that incident, no one from Pakistan was allowed to go and play in the IPL. So, yeah, that was a sad story.
Yeah. No, it was a sad story. I'd imagine that must have been quite a lucrative contract.
But having said that, couldn't play in the IPL, but I managed to go to India twice to play the Champions League. One from Sussex and one from Perth Scorchers.
Yeah. Also, because you were with an English team, they allowed you to. Because I think Azhar Mahmood played a little bit as well in India as well because of playing for an English side. So at least you got at least you got the experience.
Yes.
Like I say, I'm sure that IPL contract must have been quite lucrative, quite nice to look at. So it's unfortunate that you didn't get to go and play in that. But even though you've had such a lengthy career, I mean, it's like you've been around forever, Yasir Bhai. You don't look much different to me. You're aging well. You look like you could still run in and bowl, 10, 20 overs, I think, quite easily. I want to just touch on where you're at in life now. You mentioned to me when I was talking to you, when I approached you to have this interview, that you're doing a bit of coaching now. Tell me a bit about your coaching.
Yeah, thanks for the nice word first. And yeah, I mean, I start playing professional cricket in 2016. Although I did play 1 year, one game in 2017 for some guys back home in Pakistan, and then you'll be surprised to know that I played another first class game last year
Oh, really?
when I was playing when I was playing for MCC. We toured to Nepal, and then I
Oh,
managed to bowl. Yeah,
how was that? How was that experience? How was Nepal?
yeah, I mean that was classified as a first class game because they are they played international cricket as well. When they are eligible now. So the game we played against them was it was a 3-day game, but they classified as a first class game.
Yep.
So I mean I was lucky that I played that game. And I managed to score some runs. I got like 65 not out, and
Very
then I
good.
got three wickets, and so it was good fun. But now, especially since retired from cricket, like professionally, I did my level 3 course from ECB 3 years ago, and now I'm doing my level 4. I'm into my second year now, so which will complete next year. I'm working in a private college here in Kent. It's
Okay.
yeah, Eltham College, and they have a very nice setup. They have like good sports facilities. They have rugby teams. They have hockey teams, and then they do obviously they do cricket as well. So nice infrastructure in Eltham College, right? I'm working there.
Okay.
During the summer, what I do is like I still play club cricket. I play in Kent club called Bromley Cricket Club. So I'm playing. It's almost like 4 or 5 years now playing for them. And then I do play for one of the there's a World 11 called Lashing World
Yeah, I
11.
see that. I see
So
you're on a lot of tours with the Lashings boys.
yeah,
That must be quite good
so
fun.
so I just it's like love of the game, and by doing that you still kept yourself fit, and
Yeah.
kept you busy as well. So still doing bits and pieces. Yeah.
No, good, good, good. So what you're basically saying is now there could be some in the future. We might see Yasir Arafat in some some coaching roles, There's, I'm sure there'll be some teams that will be interested in bringing you in to coach death bowling to a lot of the bowlers around a lot of these leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I did little short stints. One last year I was with Surrey. I did a few of their home games as a bowling consultant, and then I went to Australia in the winter, and I did I did the same thing for first culture.
Yeah,
I was there for a few games, and then I passed my whatever I learned from my playing career. So and from my coaching experiences,
yeah.
I passed that on to their senior team and their academy boys. So yeah, obviously, I mean, whenever I get an opportunity to go and coach somewhere or anywhere, so I'm happy to do that.
No, fantastic, fantastic. I want to finish with a quick quiz. Not even quiz, just a quick fire questions for you.
Rapid fire, rapid fire.
Rapid fire. So my first question for you is: who is the best cricketer you've ever played with or against?
Cricketer. I would say Waqar Yunus, best cricketer.
You're
And
still
against, I would say Adam Gilchrist.
say again.
Adam Gilchrist.
Adam
Adam Gilchrist.
Gilchrist. Yeah, he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player at all. Okay, who is the best Pakistani batsman you've ever come across?
Muhammad Yusuf.
Mohammed Yusuf. Okay.
Muhammad Yusuf / Yunus Khan.
Flash Yunus Khan. Okay. Yunus Khan is a friend of yours. You don't want to upset him.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question: who is the best county cricketer you've ever played with?
County cricketer. Murray Goodwin from Zimbabwe. I mean, he was like, he was one of the player who, I mean, would turn up onto the game and then perform in every game, whether you're playing a T20 game, 1-day game, or 4-day game.
Yeah.
So he's an excellent performer. He was excellent performer.
Excellent. Very good one. Yeah. Quality player. Who's your favourite? Who's your best friend in cricket?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I hardly, made any friend, but I mean, I'm good friend with Muhammad Hafiz, Yunus Khan,
Yeah.
and a few of the other guys. But these are the two guys. I mean, I get along very well.
Yeah, I see on Twitter you were always giving each other messages back and forth. There's a lot of. I think Mohammed Hafiz came to your house recently. There were some pictures up as well. So no, that's good to see. My last question for you is, who is what are we going to see in the future from you then, Yasir bhai? What can we expect in the next 5 years? What kind of plan do you have for your life?
As I mentioned, I'm in coaching now. I'm busy in coaching. That's my my job now, and I want to excel in that. At the same time, I'm busy with my kids, especially with my little one. I mean, he's growing up. He's 7 years old. He's into cricket, sports. So I whenever I get chance, I want to make sure I give him full time and work with him, and then make sure he. If he's talented or if he's interested in any sport, I should back him, to go at a higher level.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Listen, Yasir bhai, it's been a pleasure to have you on Sheikh's Cricketing Journeys. I hope you can support my show. I've got lots of big stars as well as yourself. I've got Darren Sammy. I've got some other big names that's coming on. I wish you all the best in your coaching career now, moving into coaching. I think you're still keeping yourself fit, so keep playing for as long as you can, because once you stop, then you might start getting, it gets more difficult to keep fit. So keep playing while you can. Have a lovely Eid with your family when it comes. Eid Mubarak to you and your family. And thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Qasim, and say hi to everyone at Clydesdale Cricket Club, whoever you meet or you see in contact, especially your parents, because I still remember your parents. I mean, they were very nice to me when I was in Scotland. I came to Scotland, I was very young, and then your dad, your mom always came up to me and then say, if you need anything and if you need any help, they always supported me. So they say hi to them. And
I will definitely pass that on. You'll make my mum and dad happy. I will show that. Obviously, I'm going to release this video in a couple of weeks' time, and then it'll be nice for my mum and dad to hear that. Please give my salam to your family as well, and have a great Eid when it comes, Yasir bhai. Take care.
Thank you.